Hi there and welcome to your weekly top-up of unillogical nonsense decanted from my brain, wine Bert, and into yours at home or at work or on your commute. Wherever you happen to be watching this video, thank you for joining me. This week's video should be sponsored by the slogan, drink responsibly. Reason being, if you don't, you end up recording your video content an entire week late. And for that, I'm sorry. Hands up, even wine Bert succumbs to a hangover that can cripple his intentions of recording his video content. So last Friday, when I was supposed to release this, the 25th of June, it was International Rosé Day. And I figured, well, look, you know, I may be late for Rosé Day, but one thing I'm not late for, I'm bang on time for Rosé season. The intermittent sunshine that we've been having, the summer in full flow. Why not celebrate and drink rosé all the way through? Why just dedicate one day when we can dedicate an entire season and beyond? So, that out of the way, I'm going to talk about these guys here. Now, you're going to be looking at these, and this one you're going to be thinking, well, it's a pale pink, orange tinged, Provençal style colour, almost sort of salmon looking. And with this, I can almost guarantee you're going to be thinking, well, it's a darker white Zinfandel style, sweeter kind of rosé. And you would be forgiven for thinking that. But it is not necessarily true. These wines are almost identical. Almost, I say. One of the misconceptions within the wine industry is that the darker the rosé, the sweeter it will be, and the paler the rosé, the drier it will be. Now, if you remember in my previous episode, if you did watch it, I spoke about this idea of ripe fruit character being talked about in the world of sweetness, when in fact, actually, when we talk about sweetness within the wine, we're talking about the level of residual sugar, which is a lot more obvious than picking out what it might taste like. And rosé succumbs to this all the time based on its colour alone. And we're in 2021. We should never be assuming the residual sugar levels of a wine based on its appearance. We should know better than that. So these two wines, we've got 100% Pinot Noir, both of them grown on the southern island of New Zealand. This at the most northern point in Marlborough, and this not necessarily at the most southern point, but a little bit further south, less than 800 kilometres, in central Otago, one of the premium regions for growing Pinot Noir in the entire world. Residual sugar in a litre, we've got the Doctor's, which is sitting at approximately 6.5, just over, grams, and the Roaring Meg, which sits at just under 8, 7.9 to be exact. Now, although that sounds like quite a vast difference, it doesn't necessarily add a difference in terms of sweetness on the palate. You see, if you remember, I spoke about this idea of when you even start to hit off dry, you're looking at 10 grams. So we're still at least 2 grams short before this would get to off dry. And if we talk about the colour of this, I'm going to talk about this one mainly because I think this is obviously the biggest contender for the misconception. The white Zinfandel, which is ordinarily a very similar colour to this, on average will sit at about 30 grams of residual sugar a litre. So we're looking at more than 3 times the amount than what's in this currently. So if you think of what a white Zinfandel might taste like, but strip back that sugar level by 3 times the amount, this is sort of what you're going to be looking at. Not necessarily flavour profile wise, but certainly in the style that it's a rosé. So let's give them a wee taste. So the Doctor's guys, they have sort of different vinification methods, different bitter culture methods that allow their alcohol content to be 9.5% alcohol on their rosé, which is quite low. Ordinarily with low alcohol content wines, you have to be really careful because the way in which they're made, sometimes, not all the time, the wine can come across as quite sour because you have to balance it with so much glycerol that it adds this real sourness. Now, although this has a bit more sort of glyceric weight, that's all it is. It's just a bit more textural. It gives the fruit a slight tartness, but by no stretch is sour. Then we have the Roaring Meg. So the one that everyone, I would imagine, was assuming was sweet. Has this gorgeous note of red apple. And on the palate that comes through, but only towards the end you get this sort of bite of like red apple tannin, you know, from the skin. But both of them have that stereotypical luscious strawberry, cherry and raspberries. Both fabulous wines, both from the same country, both from the same island, both from the same grape, but two completely different colours. So the next time you go into your local friendly neighbourhood wine merchant, have a browse on the shelves and pick something out that might look darker. Have a look at the alcohol content. Normally that's a dead giveaway. With a white zin, you'd be looking at about 11 and 11.5%. And obviously the higher the level of the alcohol, the more sugar has been fermented, and so the less residual sugar is in the wine. For instance, this sits at 14%. And just pick something up and give it a go, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Both fabulous wines, both perfect for these summer seasons. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and that if anything, you have learnt to not judge a book by its colour, or certainly a wine. Cheers guys, take care and have a good weekend.